Hello there, guys. Welcome back to another episode of E&Ftv. And we're joined by actually quite a familiar face. Tom, my good friend Tom Barnett, who is Commercial and Yield Pricing Manager at Your Golf Travel. Tom, how you doing, mate?
I'm really good. Great to hear from you, Tom.
Mate, it's good to have you back on the show. Obviously, you were on the show a couple of years ago. Actually, you were one of the first people to ever be on E&Ftv when we started it in 2019. So we would have recorded your episode either in 2019 or very early 2020.
Yeah, yeah,
That is
remember it
nuts.
well. Remember
That
it
is
well.
nuts. Oh, there you go. So welcome back, mate. It's good to have you
Thank
back on
you.
the show. Just before I take a sip, guys, before we get into this week's episode, I just want to say if you can like and subscribe to the channel, we're bringing you content every single week with fantastic leaders, just like Tom, from all sorts of different businesses to give you insight into all areas of commercial, but also operations now as well. And of course, in the tech field as well. So we're trying to bring you as much great content as possible every single week without fail. And we would love to grow this community. So please do go to our YouTube channel, click the subscribe button, be part of the community. Without further ado, let's get into the episode. So, Tom, mate, I've obviously known you in lots of different environments, and
Yeah,
obviously you were, for anybody that doesn't know, Tom was actually one of the first people that I sat down with to even just learn what revenue management was. You were so generous with your time. You were so informative and you gave me so much insight into what revenue management was before I even started recruiting in it, let alone any of the other stuff that I'm doing now. So I am still indebted to you, my friend. But you're now in, as we said at the start, your golf travel,
yeah,
right? So it'd be good to understand one, what your role is within your golf
yeah.
travel, but two, for anybody that doesn't know, who are your golf travel? Who are they? What do they do? It's kind of in the name, but give us a bit
Yeah.
of an insight.
Of course, yeah. And I'll start talking about your golf travel. As you say, yeah, a bit of a clue in the name. So basically, we take golfers on holidays.
Nice.
And something we talk about all the time is, putting happy golfers on fairways. That's why we exist.
Yeah.
The second reason we exist, is to deliver results for our partners, people we
Yeah.
work with, suppliers, hotel and golf suppliers, airlines. So that's why we exist.
Sure.
Um, the company itself is part of a wider travel group.
Hmm.
So that includes brands like Spa Breaks, Racing Breaks, Out of Office, and a
Right.
US based golf operation, Premier Golf. So we're part of the group. But, essentially, it's about putting people who love doing something that they really, really enjoy, getting them
Yeah.
out there. What's probably brilliant about it is, we cater for every need. We
Yeah.
sell golf holidays in the UK, groups of people just looking to connect and get together. We sell golf holidays overseas.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
that play golf, they're really, really into it, and there's some fantastic travel experiences. If we talk about golf, probably the first thing that people think about is the Ryder Cup.
Yep.
What an event that was last year over in Italy. And we literally do everything. So we take customers and clients to events like the Ryder Cup, like the Masters. So that's really, really great.
Mm.
For someone like myself, who actually doesn't play a huge amount of golf,
Mm.
it's brilliant. There is almost like a journey. There is a pathway there.
Yeah.
Obviously, during COVID, participation in golf really accelerated.
Yeah.
Um, and what's great about it is, there is that journey there. So, probably more novice golfers, people who are new to the game.
Hmm.
Uh, there are short breaks that you can go on in the UK. And as people play more and as they get better, we've got access to so many golf courses around the world, and some of
Yeah.
those real flagship places where people want to play.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about the top 100 golf courses in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can play those places. So it's an exciting world to be in.
I can imagine, mate. I can imagine. And of course, your role within the business then. So,
Yeah,
can you tell us a bit about that? Because again, I've always seen, of course, revenue management in hotels,
yeah,
airlines, car rental, car parking, holiday rentals.
Yeah.
How does it work in your golf travel?
Okay. Yeah. Well, when I joined the business 2
Yeah.
years ago, it was actually a newly created role.
Right.
So that was interesting, and yeah, obviously part of that is how we price the holidays we sell.
Yeah.
Having done revenue management for 20 years, and you all know Tom, people that work in revenue management, they love numbers, they love
Mm.
data, they love analyzing data. They can have good commercial ideas, and what sort of happens, or what happened in my instance is, yes, involved in that the pricing, the revenue management, the inventory management disciplines, but you start getting involved in lots of different things.
Yeah.
So it's become quite a broad role, which is great.
Yeah.
And sort of 2 years into it, in that place now where sort of feel quite established and settled in the business. And, it has been a really good 2 years, and
Mm.
hopefully more happy years to come.
Yeah. I was going to say when we first jumped on the call, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, but you genuinely really seem happy and where you are in your career and what you're doing. Just talking about the people that you've met within your golf travel on your first day, you were telling me about it, and you just seemed like excited but also happy, and it's really good to see, mate, because you and I have
Cool.
known each other for a
Appreciate that.
while,
Yeah.
and I've seen you in different environments, and you definitely seem like you are in a really, really good place, which is brilliant to see.
Yeah. I mean, I was reflecting on that, and as I said, you know, um, I'm more the novice end when it comes to golf, but
Sure.
I think probably the reason it works is the people I work with. They are so passionate about golf. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I know myself, I'm a heart on my sleeve kind of person. Yeah,
Yeah.
the type of people I connect with are people who are passionate.
Hmm.
Although
Yeah.
golf's sort of reasonably new for me, the fact that I'm around people who are so passionate, I think, is a
Yeah.
big reason why it has worked.
Yeah. No, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And I suppose if we talk about you now, so we've obviously spoken about your golf
Yeah,
travel. In terms of you,
yeah,
travel, sport, I
yeah,
know are two of your biggest
yeah,
loves.
yeah,
Why are they so important to you? What is it about those two things that are so close to your heart?
yeah. Um, Again, I was reflecting on that
Mm.
after you reached out about having a chat, and
Yeah.
I was trying to work out: is it coincidence? Is
Mm.
it fate?
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't quite know the answer. But the one thing I will say is I'm glad I am where I am. I'm glad
Sure.
where I'm at. And well, why is that? And yeah, getting older now, 44.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I look back to my younger years, those two things, travel and sport, they've always been constants in my life. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
When I think about where I was at as a 16-year-old, 17, 18, going to university, first entering the world of work,
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
two were always constants in my life, and they're really important. Being involved in sport, for me, that was playing cricket, that was playing hockey.
Mm.
Um, it really helped me build my confidence.
Right.
Okay, I wasn't the most confident 16-year-old. Being around people, being part of something that built communities, it helped me, in the early stages of my life, feel part of something, have that
Yeah.
feeling of belonging. So it is really, really important. And of
Mm.
course, as well, I'm not the world's most natural athlete. Let's be frank. But sport and exercise is good for
Yeah.
your physical well-being,
Yeah.
and also as well, it's really good for your mental well-being.
Mm.
Um, so it's always been important to me and always will.
Yeah.
From a travel perspective, again, a constant in my life. And when I think back to know things I value, looking back to my younger years, travel was really, really important.
Yeah.
Um, Kind of stumbled into it actually, in the sense that I was finishing university, wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, and an
Yeah.
opportunity came up. It was like a work exchange program. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I actually sort of took a position working in Krakow in Poland, working for a vodka
Right.
distiller. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I got on this plane on a Sunday morning,
Yeah.
got off at the other end in Poland. It was
Yeah.
cold. I didn't speak any of the language. I
Yeah.
didn't know anybody. Started work on Monday in an office where I didn't know anybody,
Sure.
and spent, sort of 2 3 months doing a secondment, working and living out there. And wow, what an adventure that was!
Yeah.
Uh, Being put in that position, it was really good in terms of
Yeah.
building my confidence, building my resilience, learning how to make connections with people in a new environment.
Hmm.
Um, this was 25 years ago.
Mm.
It's a country that is very different to today. A
Sure.
lot of people travel there, will go for weekend breaks. I got off this plane and I was meeting people and they'd never met anybody from England.
Right.
So it was a great adventure. I really
Yeah.
immersed myself in it, and did lots of things in the communities, going around schools, really
Yeah.
made the most of it. And wow, what a lesson for me. It really taught me the importance of human connections, and
Hmm.
travel and sport are both great platforms for making that happen.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
Perhaps it's the stars aligning, perhaps it is coincidence, perhaps it
Never
is
know.
fate.
Never know.
But you know what? I guess that's why it works for me.
Yeah. I suppose they're both very key with regard to character building, right? Like
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
sport, you got dedication, you got teamwork, you got perseverance, you got goal setting, you've got all these things.
yeah,
And then travel, you're being immersed into different cultures. You're having to deal, even just at a young age, having to go through. We've all been there when we first took in that flight on our own or whatever, where it's like, right, I've got to get somewhere on time. I've got to get on the plane. I've got
yeah,
to arrive. I don't know anybody there.
yeah,
All these things. And then obviously the very ingraining yourself into culture, food,
yeah.
people, all these things are massively character building elements. And sport and travel, if I think about it, are actually they're major in terms of building a person.
Totally
Major.
agree. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I suppose so coming on to a slightly different point, but again,
Sure.
something that certainly is that character building element, I suppose, but
Yeah,
more specifically within your career, in
yeah,
terms of the sectors.
yeah.
Okay, so I want obviously everybody to understand the different sectors that you've worked in first, but off. But if you could tell us a bit about that, but also what the differences have been like within your career in these different sectors, and maybe I don't know, maybe some ups and downs, maybe things that you've
Sure.
experienced that would give us some insight, because I think there's a lot of people that have worked in one sector won't understand quite as clearly, and I think there might be people in the audience that have worked in different sectors where this will really resonate with them.
Sure. Yeah. So, in terms of different sectors, I'll just cover off a few. So,
Yeah, yeah.
obviously worked in mainstream tour operators,
Hmm.
worked with airlines, airport groups, the holiday park sector, which I absolutely loved,
Yeah,
and now a specialist travel sports brand. So
sure.
a few different places. And again, you talk about character building. That's
Mm,
been really good for me. In terms of my first role, I spent 13 years in a big
mm,
organisation, and
yeah,
that was great. The good thing about big organisations is often there's quite a bit of structure in terms of support that you get.
yep, yep.
Often there's probably a clearer path that is defined for you.
Mm,
Someone typically joins, perhaps as a junior analyst, then works on analyst manager, head of
yeah,
department, etc., etc., etc. And that was good. Obviously, 13 years into that, I did make that change,
yeah,
um, and actually that was quite tough for me. Um, Not
yeah,
just making the change, moving into a different sector. I did find that hard.
yeah.
Obviously, roll forward another 8 10 years. That's
Mm,
now a change that I've made 3 or 4 times. And
mm,
again, although that first experience was challenging, I
Yeah.
think in the long run, it's been really, really helpful. It's made me more resilient. I
Yeah.
think when you move into different sectors or different types of companies, that brings new challenges.
Yeah.
And although that first experience was challenging, actually, you know, I understand now that that's something that I really thrive on. Uh,
Mm.
I need that freshness. I need the new challenge. I need new different types of people. So
Yeah.
it's been a really, really good thing for me. And I would encourage anybody to consider, looking and moving around sort of different sectors.
Mm.
There are pros and cons to it. Technology is massive in revenue management, and some sectors are more established than others in terms of their adoption and use of things like automated sort of pricing technology.
Yeah.
But what is good is whether someone's established or not established. If you move into a sector where it is less established, you know what, you've got a massive opportunity then to move things forward.
Yeah.
So I would
Yeah.
encourage
Yeah.
people to really think about that. Um, Certainly, yeah. But
Yeah. Yeah.
as I said, reflecting on it, I do thrive on having those different challenges, and I think as well, I thrive on sort of perhaps being in some of those smaller organisations where
Mm.
your level of responsibility is broader. Um, That said, probably some smaller organisations there that hasn't quite worked for me, but that's probably been more about culture.
Sure.
If I get
Sure.
the two right, then it means I finish work on a Friday sort of afternoon, Friday evening,
Mm.
feeling that I've made a contribution that week, and then that's really
Yeah.
important to me in terms of my feeling of sort of self fulfillment.
Yeah.
It is good to see that there are opportunities in different sectors.
Yes.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
see that from sort of some of the clients that you work with, Tom, and
Mm.
I'd encourage anybody if they see things to certainly consider that and sort of think about how that might help them in terms of their long-term development and
Sure.
long-term personal growth.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. I suppose it's one of those, isn't it? Because obviously the different sectors definitely play a part, but you certainly touched on the fact of the differences between or the pros and cons, I suppose,
Yeah,
of small businesses, large
yeah,
businesses. I've always had this sort of thought that within a smaller business, you're a larger cog and
yeah,
therefore more autonomy, more decision-making power. That I've come to realize that's not always the case, and it's not one size fits all with that,
yeah,
because in larger organizations, yes, there is known to be red tape and
yeah.
less of a decision-making opportunity. But again, that's not always the case. I mean,
Mm.
obviously you working in the different businesses you have, what's your experience been like in terms of pros and cons with larger to smaller businesses?
Yeah, I think you make a really valid point, and actually sort of challenge myself on that. Um, there are larger companies I've worked in that have had that aggressive growth mindset.
Sure, sure.
Um, and as I said, there's been some smaller companies where it possibly hasn't quite worked for me. And I
Hmm.
think it's the combination of the two things. That working culture,
Yeah,
and the giving people the space, the autonomy to make an impact. That can happen in a big organization, that can happen in a small organization. But when you
sure.
get those two things right, um, then it creates a really rewarding working environment. And
Yeah,
reflecting on the different places I've worked and where I've been most happy, and I think where I've had biggest impacts on business is where those two things have been aligned.
yeah. No, absolutely. Something that sort of you and I are both quite passionate about, and that's sort
Yeah.
of people at the start of their careers.
Yes. Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Because again, I know how passionate you are about it, and I know how
Yeah.
passionate I am about it. But what are your thoughts on engaging with people at the start of their careers? What have you seen in the market? What have you done
Yeah.
yourself? And what do you think we need more of?
Yeah. Um, yeah. It's really, really important. And if I think
Mm.
about my career working in revenue management,
Yeah.
it still worries me. And I've been talking to some people this week that they don't understand that it's a discipline where you can
Yes.
develop a career path.
Hmm.
and I'm really pleased to see that more is being done out there. It's
Yep.
great to see some of the work that you do, Tom, and even just things like this,
Oh,
helps get
appreciate it.
that story out and helps people understand that it is a discipline that can create a really rewarding and progressive career for a young person. So
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's totally important.
Mm. Yeah,
Apprenticeships, placements, work experience programs are all
yeah,
good things that can help with that. And as you know, they are things I've been involved with,
yeah,
in the past. But I guess in terms of where I am now, it's become more of a general thing about helping sort of young people, and I think
mm,
that really, really is important.
yeah,
If I think about somebody who's 18 years old or 21 years old, perhaps coming out of university, it is really, really daunting.
yeah.
And looking back, perhaps I would have benefited for a little bit more help. So
Mm,
I'd encourage everybody to really, really think about that. And if there is space within your organization to do something that's going to help young people,
yeah,
really please do consider that.
yeah,
And one thing I can promise is, okay, you know 20 years in, I don't remember the you know the trading target that I hit 1 month 15 years ago,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
do
yeah,
remember people and the
yeah.
people that have helped out,
Hmm.
and seeing some of those guys and where they're at, how far their careers have progressed, and
Yeah,
you've played a small little part in that. That
yeah.
is that's fantastic. You don't forget that. So from a selfish point of view,
Hey, yeah.
it's a great thing.
Absolutely, absolutely, and yeah, I think people are getting sick of me on LinkedIn, basically telling them to get boots on the ground in the
Yeah,
classrooms, in the colleges, in the universities, and for anybody that is interested in getting involved from a revenue management, wider commercial or operational perspective, if you want to talk to students, if you want to get involved in certain areas, please do get in touch because we currently work with, I think it's like 7 or 8 universities now across the UK and Switzerland that are looking for people to really engage with their young people, engage with them in the classroom, and drive awareness of revenue
yeah,
management. Specifically, it's my bias. I'd take that one, but we need more people in the industry, and we're not going
yeah,
to get that unless leaders in our industry get boots on the ground. So I'm absolutely behind you on that message, Tom. Absolutely. I suppose you know, in terms of
yeah.
what's important to you, I know a big part of the very fiber of you is giving back. And I know a lot of people do talk about, I want to give back, I want to do more, I want to put more in. But what does giving back mean to you? What does giving back mean to you in the context of work, in the context of your
Okay.
surroundings, all this sort of stuff?
Yeah, it's this give back culture, I suppose, has become a bit of a thing. But
Yeah, yeah,
to me, it's simple. It's just about being a good human being and sort of
sure.
taking time to help others. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah,
there's there's been times in my life where I've benefited from that myself, and it's something I try to do. I guess the vehicles that are used have probably slightly changed. So
sure.
in my earlier career, it was about setting up placement programs, apprenticeship programs, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
In more recent years, it's taken a slightly different direction.
Hmm.
So I've become involved with a charity called Sports Inspired,
Okay.
and doing a lot with them over the last sort of few years. And what they do is, their mission is to ensure that young people have access to sport. Yeah, and they
Nice.
focus their energies and efforts in some of the most deprived communities in the UK. So
Right.
based on what we've talked about so far, I'm sure you can understand why that's something that really, really resonated with
Of
me.
course.
So I guess there are always opportunities out there, and the bit around the placements and the apprenticeship programs that are set up, that kind of worked for where I was at that time, and that
Yeah.
might not quite wasn't quite right for different organizations. But the point I'm trying to make is there always is an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think if you do it and you get involved in something, again, it creates those memories. Yeah.
Absolutely, mate.
It
Absolutely.
builds those human connections. It
Mm,
gives you a platform to talk to people and connect with them. And let's be honest, it's been we've probably all had a bit of a bumpy ride the last few years, and
mm.
we're all human beings. We all have ups and downs, and all of us need a little bit of help from sort of that now and then. So
Yeah, yeah.
uh, that's what it means to me. That's why I think it's important.
Mm,
you know, I want to be able to look at my kids in the eyes when they ask me about what to do and what I get involved in.
mm.
I want to be able to sort of talk to them about things like this that set a good example. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's what it's about to me, and always try and sort of make that effort, and what that manifests itself in might change, but
Yeah, yeah.
the opportunities out there. So
Absolutely. What was the name of the charity one more time, mate?
sure, it's called Sports Inspired.
Sports Inspired. Right. Okay.
Yeah, so I've been
Okay.
involved with them for the last 3 years, and we set up a fundraising event called the Thames 200.
Okay.
And we first did this almost 3 years ago. And as I said at the start, I'm not the most natural of athletes.
Yeah.
And in the first year, it was a 24-hour challenge involving cycling, swimming, and running.
Right.
We were staying overnight. It was mad, crazy, bonkers, but the connections I got
Yeah.
from
Of
people that I did that event with, as well as obviously raising some money for a great charity,
course.
it was brilliant. Talk about some of those memories. I've been doing some swimming and running in the day, and the
Yeah.
way we had things planned out in my team, it was got to about midnight, and it was my time to have a little bit of rest. About
Yeah.
an hour later, someone came into my tent. The guy that was out cycling had fallen off his bike, and I had to jump out of this tent, get back on the bike, and I was cycling round Pangbourne near Reading, in the middle of the night. Actually fell off my bike
Oh,
a couple of times, but
oh wow.
brilliant, brilliant memories. Yeah, and yeah, raise some money for a brilliant charity. So
Yeah, absolutely.
again, we're supporting that event this year, and it's in its third year. It's grown and grown and grown, and that's where I'm at in terms of what I'm getting involved in to support that give back. And I've seen
Amazing.
the work that these guys do in communities.
Mm.
They actually came to my hometown where I live now in Luton, and we
Yeah.
ran an event. So I've seen what they do. I've seen the legacy they create in communities. Their work is incredible. If you've not heard of them, look them up.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, what I'll do, I'll pop a link in the description down below, to obviously the charity for anybody that wants to
Amazing.
check it out. If you've got any sort of link that you're raising money
Yeah,
for at the moment, I'm more than happy to put that link in the description. So if anybody does want to obviously contribute towards that charity, please do. I'll leave the link in the description below. And of course, when is the event, mate, for this year?
it's July the 17th. We're doing it at
Okay.
Dorney Lakes,
Yeah.
which is a fantastic venue. If people remember the London Olympics,
Yeah.
they hosted many events there. It's going to be a brilliant, brilliant day. So yeah, by
Brilliant.
all means, reach out if anyone is interested. Look me
Yeah.
up on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Um, we're going big this year, so let's make it fun.
Amazing. Right. Well, there's the offer, guys. What I'll do is I'll put the link down below to find out more about Tom's event. Please do get in touch with him, have a chat with him about it. I know he'd love for you to be involved. Tom, I just want to say a massive thanks, mate, for obviously taking the time out of your diary. I know how
No
busy
problem.
you are, so thank you so much. It's been great to catch up, and it's also brilliant to see genuinely how happy you are right now. It's fantastic.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that and really enjoyed it.
Oh, good. And hopefully we'll get your golf travel back on in say 8 or 9 months and we can see how things are going with you guys again. But for now, thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. I really do appreciate it. as I said at the start of the episode, please do like and subscribe to the channel. We are trying to bring you content every single week with great guests like Tom and other events that we actually go to in person. And to do that, we need a community, and you guys are going to be part of that. So please do subscribe to the channel. And of course, please do get in touch with Tom if you're interested in attending the event later on in the summer. And also, if you want to find out more about the charity, I'll also put the link down below. But for now, thank you so much, Tom, for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye bye.